Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Good afternoon and welcome to our April 15th, 2024 regular meeting of Belleville City Council. The City of Belleville acknowledges we are meeting today on the traditional territory of many nations. The municipality operates on the unceded and unsurrendered lands of our Indigenous peoples. We recognize and honor the historic relationship of the Indigenous peoples to this land and acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within them. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who call Belleville their home and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship with them. We look forward to fostering a path towards reconciliation and show respect for the Indigenous peoples who first lived and currently live on the land where we now all reside together. I will call this meeting to order, and we are all present, and please remain standing for a moment of reflection by City Clerk Matt McDonald.
May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. Help us to be concerned only for what will promote good government. May we bring to our council chamber minds that think and hearts that feel, always having respect for others, so that we may serve the people of our city in a helpful manner and for the good of all.
Please be seated. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have an indirect interest on item 6.3, and I've filed the paperwork with the clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Anybody else? I need a motion for reading and confirmation of minutes. The regular council meeting minutes of March 25th, 24, special council meeting of minutes of April 2nd, 24, regular in-camera meeting minutes of March 25th, 24, and special in-camera meeting minutes of February 27th, 24, and April 2nd, 2024. Councillor Chatton, Councillor Enright Miller, all in favor, carried. Today it is an honor to have Carol Ann Cramp and Dr. Carrie Cramp in the audience, and we've all formed relationships in our lives, and with this family and Daryl, we were great friends and friends of the family. Sue and my children and everything, and it's a day-to-day that Daryl did so much to champion everything in our city when I was last term as mayor. He made such an impression on infrastructure, on governance, and on everything Daryl touched. Some of the projects that we worked together that have changed the city of Belleville were such things as the Veterans Memorial Bridge, a bridge that was built and Daryl championed it very hard to get the funding for that, and the day I remember we walked across that with many veterans, and my wife Sue said this would be our legacy, that bridge, and every day I drive by it or over it, I remember Daryl and the work that we did together on that important project. Another project that was game-changing for our city was, and I remember the day Daryl called me and said, you know, we have money coming down the pipe, and I know what your needs are in the city of Belleville. Was a swimming pool, a wellness center, and a rink. And he said, Neil, I've got some money coming forward, and I needed a proposal done, and I think it was 30 days. And and it didn't click, it was 30 days. And I went back in the office and talked to staff, and they said to me, that's 30 days. And I thought, oh, jumpins, it is. But we got it in, and it was a large project, and you see what it's done for our community. And Daryl championed that through Ottawa, championed it through the funds, and watched it get completed. I remember Daryl, he was always a mentor to me, a mentor to my council, and he always was a kind gentleman, and I remember his smile most of all. On February 8th, 24, we lowered City Hall's flag to mark the passing of Daryl Cramp, a former MP, a former councillor, and a former MPP of the region. Daryl's marks and impression on our city will be remembered forever. Carol Ann, I know we all miss him, and we all loved him here. And to say that is the gratitude of his what he contributed to this city and how he changed will be remembered forever. Deepest condolences. And I wanted to present you the flag that we flew at half-mast in Daryl's memory after he passed away.
Your Worship, councillors, City of Belleville, I just wanted to say how grateful Dad would be. The initiatives that you referred to, they meant the world to him, and giving back to the community, and the community was what all he was about. And one of the things that resonated when I heard him talk was it was the teams and it was the people working together. It was the collaboration that made things happen. So thank you. I know this means the world to our family. And Mom?
Just thanks to all of you. Daryl would be very, very honored.
He would be honored. It was a privilege for him to work with you and to work with the City of Belleville. Thank you so much for today. It means so much.
Need a motion to receive that, Councillor Alsop, Councillor Enright Miller, all in favor, carried. 6-2, we have Kai Freeland here. Kai, I see in the audience. He's an athlete, and have run into him many a times. I think it was rollerblading through our city. And I want to note he was fast, and he did have a helmet on, which was great. But today that we have him here today, I'd like to come to the podium, Kai. And Kai recently returned from competing at the National Winter Games in Calgary for speed skating. He returned home to Belleville not only a Team Ontario athlete, but with a gold, 2 silvers, and a bronze medal. And you have your medals there. Can you put them up to council and hold them up for us? They're heavy around your neck, Guy. At the end of May, Guy will also travel to Waterloo to compete in powerlifting. On behalf of Belleville City Council and our residents, I'd like to extend our most sincere congratulations on your accomplishments, determination, and dedication. Thank you for representing the City of Belleville with such strength and tenacity. How are you doing? Congratulations. Holy guns, they are heavy. Calgary, Calgary, and Calgary. So on behalf of City Council, we'd like to present the certificate today from the city on the recognition of your speed skating bronze, silver, and gold medal. So we'll have to turn and get some photos, okay? We'll give you this. We'll look out. It's the press, so smile. Okay, we're gonna flip this way. You're not getting out here running on the picture, so. Okay, and one more this way. And last one. Congratulations. Best of luck. Take care. Thanks. Okay, I need a resolution to receive. Councillor Alsop, Councillor Chatton, all in favor, carried. Moving on, we have Zan Kutsi, Chief Executive Officer of Habitat for Humanity. Prince Edward Hastings will make a deputation for council. Good afternoon, sir. Good to see you.
Mayor Ellis. Good to see you again. Members of council and staff, thank you for receiving our deputation today. I only have 10 minutes, as I understand it, to focus on our core project. Before I get to that, I thought I'd just take a little bit of time to provide some salient points on some of the other things that we're doing in Habitat, which is some refresher for some, and for others it's information that's good to know. So Habitat for Humanity, Prince Edward Hastings, has built 33 homes and helped over 100 family members since we started in 1995. We are uniquely situated along the housing continuum to help families achieve financial independence by giving them a hand up and not a handout along their journey to financial stability and independence. So, since Habitat Canada was formed in 1985, we've helped 3,600 families across Canada. In 2022, we built 194 homes, serving over 650 family members, and in 2023, we added 192 more. CIBC, I know we all know there's a housing crunch right now, and affordability is on top of everyone's mind, and some of the stats reflect that. 9 in 10 Canadians believe that there is a shortage of housing in Canada, affordable housing. CIBC recently conducted a survey, and that revealed that 3 out of 4 Canadians feel that home ownership is now out of reach. That's quite a staggering statistic. 75% of Canadians believe that housing could solve a wide range of social issues that we've been facing. We know that in this region all too well. Canada's recently announced housing plan states that there needs to be more support for equity-deserving communities. It also states that no hard-working Canadian should have to spend more than 30% on their income on shelter, and that no Canadian should have to live without knowing they have a safe and affordable place to live. So, what does it require from potential homeowners to qualify? Well, they need to be in need of housing, which typically means that they're in dilapidated dwellings. They're in an overcrowded situation, 2-3 kids in a room, and that their current dwelling is unaffordable. Rent is above market, and that's a situation that we would like to try and alleviate. What do you have to do? Well, there's 500 volunteer hours that we would require of a family, prospective family, and they have to have steady income and be working. So, some other factors, they have to understand what a mortgage is and how the payments plan would work in a long-term type of environment. Typically, our mortgages are 20 years, and with our new project, which I'm going to talk about, we talk about potentially longer mortgages. They're reviewing the potential for 30-year mortgages in the commercial lending, so for residents. So that's something that we're looking at as well. And you have to be ready for other expenses of home ownership. I think all too many people think once you're in a home, you don't have any more obligations towards that outside the mortgage, and we know that the repairs is a big part of mortgage and maintaining your home. So some of the upcoming projects that we've got, St. Paul's Anglican Church in Marmora, they've donated a piece of land to us right next to the church. That's a picture of it there. That is not a tombstone, that is a plaque recognizing the donation from the Masons to the church, and the church then worked with the Masons to say, we can't do anything with the land, can we donate it to Habitat? And we're going to put a duplex on it, which is inlaid in that screen as well. We have some property at 2 Bowery in Picton. We're planning to put 5 homes on that piece of property that leads into Delhi Park. It's going to be, because it's on a slope, it'll be a nice one level from the front and a walkout basement. That'll help with 5 families. And then what you all want to know about, which is 93 Dundas, the former police station, is slated to have a minimum of 66 units built, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms in a condominium-style environment. That is our main phase, and then a potential second phase with 7 homes in a townhome configuration. The project is about 67,000 square feet in total, 57 parking spots. It's the single largest non-phased project in Habitat Canada's history. We've got agreement in principle with the YMCA to have what's currently the Children's Safety Village converted into affordable daycare for those in the community. So some key factors along with our key dates. We've had our pro forma looked at by Ellis Don, and they did a preliminary development report that ran it through some stress tests and some risk factors, and after doing that, it still came out as a viable project, so we're happy with that. We've issued a request to have some assistance in putting together an RFP, request for proposal, so that we could get some local demolition companies to submit tenders for the contract to demolish the existing facility because it just can't be repurposed in its current layout. And that we expect to occur in September. Until then, we're planning to do some tours of the old police station to allow some time for the community to say goodbye. We'll be offering up the opportunity to buy some bricks if anyone so chooses. And we're also going to have some fun with it at night. For those that like that creepy feel, we'll be doing some form of a fright night tour of the old police station. And then we will be able to demolish it after paying our respects. As you see there, we have some dates there. So demolition, summer, fall, so September-ish. Pre-development will occur in spring. We've got an architect on to help us right now with what could potentially be put on that site in a more economic fashion as compared to the $33 million price tag that we have right now. That price tag was set when we did the preliminary development report about a year ago. And a year ago, prices for construction were much higher. There was a shortage of supply, a shortage of labor. So that in that year, things have started to come back and normalize where we would expect them. So we expect some innovative techniques in construction plus time that allowed prices to come back to normal. So pre-sales would start winter of 2025, those pre-sales being the homes that we feel that we would need to sell back into the marketplace to help with capital injection should that be required. Otherwise, all homes would be kept for affordable home ownership. Construction starts in fall 2026 with occupancy in spring of 2028. So one of the other things that we've done is to help with affordability is we created a partnership with Royal Bank of Canada. And because we can't do it alone, it's a big project. We aren't a private sector firm that can generate the revenue or partnerships that things like long-term facilities can. I know that the long-term care facility on Sydney Street, 160 units, I've seen they started framing today. And it's going up really fast, and it's taking us time. That's number one question I get, what's taking so long? It's taking some time because it takes time to fundraise. And so to that point, we've got RBC helping us with first mortgages where we're going to need them, and we're working out the final details on that. We've also created a construction cabinet campaign committee to help with the fundraising that we need, and that consists of Andy Gertzma of Gertzma Homes, Hillary Murphy of Task Force Construction, Peter Knudsen of Knudsen Construction Limited, Joe Shinnok of eCourt Realty, Paul Ferguson from Starboard Communications, and of course Patricia Guernsey of Team Guernsey Real Estate, who's giving everywhere when it comes to our community. So some other things that we look for is volunteerism, whether it's on our builds, whether it's in our restore, or whether it's on our board of directors. We always need that helping hand. And shameless plug now, we've got a couple of restores that help with funding of our operation. The restore at 65 Bell Boulevard, and now conveniently located at 266 Dundas East in Trenton, are open for business and for donations, which help us with our fundraising. So another way to donate is if there's any land or estate opportunities, those go to helping us build more homes in our community. And I think back to, where's Chris Willett? There he is. And I think back to Dave Vachon and his contribution of his home that helped us build 2 homes. So those are the kind of ways to get involved. So that's my 10 minutes, and I'm looking for questions.
Okay, any questions, Councilor Millet?
Thank you, Hank, and that was a proud moment when we handed over the check in Dave's memory and his wishes to do that. And it's one thing, I'm glad you mentioned that. We will be holding a celebration of life for Dave, and we're going to encourage others in the community when we do that to consider legacy gifts in that fashion. My question, though, is you mentioned Habitat Canada. This is one of the largest projects ever, I guess the largest that they've, their commitment, is there any way, shape, or form that the national body is involved in this in any shape or form? Possibly funding? I don't know. I don't know the structure of the organization or if that's even possible, but just what kind of support the national body is giving you on this project.
Thank you. So through Mayor Ellis, the Habitat Canada, this, by the way, just for clarification, the largest single built project without making it phased or in chunks. So all at one time, it's their largest. I know Peterborough had 41 all at once. That was Leahy's Lane, and that's 66 is a little bit bigger. So with, and I know they build in Toronto 80 units, but that's phased. Anyway, so Habitat Canada, what they do for us, they do provide us with resources through their resourcing operations, and usually it's gift in kind. So for example, when we're ready to build, we'll let them know that we're ready to build with months' notice in advance, and they will go out and source out some of the materials that we're going to need. So for example, if we need bricks, they'll find a supplier that has bricks that they can retrieve for us. We know that there's insulation. Corning has donated significant amounts of insulation to various projects across Canada. In fact, the homes on Sydney Street, we received a lot of the insulation from Habitat Canada through Corning. So they come to bat when we need them to, when it's construction time. And then of course there are some other dribs and drabs of revenue that they share with us from donations that come from across Canada. We get those as well. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. We help them, they help us, and helps the communities.
Councillor Oslop?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Ellis, and through you to Mr. Kudzi. Thank you very much for everything you're doing in your organization. This is a really exciting project, and we can't wait to see it progress further. On the plug that you did for the Restore, which I think was very important, to give the community a sense of how important it is that we support those restores from a fundraising perspective for your organization, how much revenue is generated by those restores locally to help support these type of builds?
So last year, our sales, gross sales out of the Restore were roughly $780,000. A lot of that is from donations from the community of their gently used furnitures, appliances, construction materials, in conjunction with products that we get from Habitat Canada that we do purchase, but it's at a fairly low rate because we know that they're donated as well to Habitat Canada. But bottom line is, it is the single largest avenue for us to be able to run our operations. That allows pretty much, almost dollar for dollar donation that is made in real terms goes right into a build fund. So some organizations need 25 or 30% of that dollar you're donating for their administration fees. The Restore helps us avoid that so that we get almost dollar for dollar right into the build fund. Great, thank you. Yep, you're welcome.
Councillor Chatton?
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
I had the great pleasure of being at the one key ceremony that we were able to give the two families their keys to their new units, which was pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. Thank you for all of the work that you and your organization are doing across the region. It's incredibly important. My question is kind of coming back to the brass tacks of the timeline that you had up. You had mentioned 2024 in the summer. Do you have like a month, and will both of the buildings located at 93 Dundas Street, will they be coming down at the same time, or is there plans to keep kind of the Children's Safety Village building as is and just taking down the police station? And if you have a month, I would love to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And yeah, that was a cold day, I recall that, and it was nice to have you out. Just so everyone else knows, that day when we do key ceremonies, we close the Restore and we invite all the staff out to be part of that ceremony, because they know, if you ask them what they do in the Restore, they say that they build houses, and that is their opportunity to go and enjoy that moment. So thank you for that reminder. So the main building is coming down. That's the only building we're gonna take down, is 93 Dundas itself, the old police station and church. The current Children's Safety Village will remain as is until we're ready to retrofit it for the daycare, because that's where the daycare center will go. And then where they have their garage for those mobile assets, I'll call them, that will become a community center for the homeowners of the condo, party room or whatever it is that they might need a community center for, which will be rentable. And the revenues from that will go into the condo corporation coffers to help reduce the monthly fees. So we're looking at September for demolition of the main building, and then probably not until 2025, I would say, late 2025, early 2026, depending on how well our fundraising goes, for the Children's Safety Village to need to find their new home.
Councillor Thompson?
Quick question. One of your big things when you have tenants move into your houses is that partake in the developing of the house. That won't take place in any of these then, so how will they be, that was the focus, was to have them have ownership.
Yeah.
Are we going to have that with these units here?
Yeah, the mandate of Habitat in general is home ownership, right? It's about affordable home ownership for hardworking Canadians. And renting is not what we want to do. We don't want to be landlords. We don't want them to be considered as tenants because that's not the mindset we want them to have. They are going to be homeowners. With that comes financial responsibility, the ability to maintain their own residence and all those wonderful things and not rely on us to help out, right? That hand up and not a handout concept. So with their volunteer hours, that's where they get the opportunity to go into their environment before it's completely done. So for example, things like painting the walls, they can paint the walls. They'll do a final clean of the units. There's going to be opportunities to volunteer at the Restore, help us with fundraising events. So that'll form that 500 hours. But we're looking first and foremost at equity building and home ownership. And if there's any form of a rent-to-own opportunity that Habitat Canada feels that they would support, we'll consider it as it comes down the line. But at this point, it's all about home ownership.
Thank you very much, because I think that's important. The people that I do know that have bought units or gone into these units, that's a big part of it, so thank you.
And just to follow up to that question, there is a lot of misconception out there that these houses are given for free. Homeowners, they are a homeowner. That means they're paying a mortgage. And that mortgage is over a 20-year period, and we can stretch to 25 in certain situations, but they're, at the end of it, they are equity owners in that home.
Councillor Kelly?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, just a quick question. You touched on 66 units in the former cop shop. What's the process for those watching to actually apply? How do they qualify to get in a unit in the next 2 years?
So when we're close to completion, when we feel we are 80% of the way through, and we've got a quantity surveyor come out and say, yeah, you're there, you're ready, 80%, we would market the application period for residents in Belleville to come forward and submit their interest in being a homeowner with Habitat as a partner. We know there's roughly 4,500 families in this community that are looking for affordable accommodations and or paying above market rent for living conditions. So that application period would be announced through radio stations, to be on our website. We'd be publicizing it on social media. We'd follow, newspaper, put out newspaper ads, make sure that people know that the window is coming, and then we'd open it up. And just as an example, when we did that for 639 and now 641 Sydney Street, we had our application window open for about a month, and we received 800 applications. And so you got to whittle it down to 2 doors anyway, right? So it's quite a overwhelming process to see how in demand and how the stats are there, right? 75% of of Canadians feel that this would solve a lot of issues. Well, there's your numbers. That proves there's a huge demand.
Okay, thank you. Motion to receive, Councillor Chatton, Councillor Kelly, all in favor, carried. Next, we have need a resolution that council will rise and go into committee of the whole to hear and consider reports, passing and recommendations and resolutions with Councillor Alsop in the chair. Moved by Councillor Enright Miller, seconded by Councillor Chatton, all in favor, carried.
All right, reports. The agenda shall include under reports items that warrant individual attention from council. We'll move to 8A1, appointment of members to City Committee, Municipal Heritage Committee. This is DCS 2024-04, and the resolution is that pursuant to the Director of Corporate Services Clerk's Report number DCS 2024-04, appointment of members to City Committee, Municipal Heritage Committee, Heritage Belleville, and that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2023-09, the appointments bylaw, be prepared for council's consideration. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Kelly. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. It is moved as read. Do we have a seconder? A second by Councillor Chatton. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? Councillor Carr.
Thank you. Just for you, Mr. Chair, I've asked this during budget, but I want to bring it up again, just with respect to Hastings County, and I know we have a couple chairs of those committees here. Is there any indication that Hastings County is going to move their budgeting process along a little quicker as it pertains to these external committees so that we can have timely submissions and not have to play catch up? Recognizing the fact, again, that the City of Belleville falls under strong mayors, so we have different budgeting parameters than other municipalities.
Yes, thank you, and I'll direct your question through to Councillor.
Yeah, as I chair the EMS and Chris chairs the social services, there's no indication that they're going to move any earlier. That's their been tradition, and we do our budget. But, you know, I have to give the county credit because they gone to our Director of Finance and they had discussion of what percentage they presumed they were going to present. So he was able to work his budget on their prediction, and they stayed very close to their prediction, unless the Director of Finance got something else. But they stayed right within their percentage, as far as I know. The Director of Finance, maybe he's got any comments, but they won't move any earlier.
Director Ferguson, any comments on that item?
Through the chair to all of council, we did work hand in hand with Hastings County to come up with the best estimates of the budget that we could get. And this is the result. Unfortunately, didn't come out on top for the percentages this time, but we were working well hand in hand. And I think aside from some items that popped up for some funding items that Hastings County had to deal with, we were pretty tight to budget estimates.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thank you. And I certainly appreciate the fact that the county has worked closely with our finance department to get those numbers in proximity. And I know that we're somewhat ensconced in tradition around here locally for many, many years. And I would just suggest perhaps maybe we try to challenge those traditions a little bit out of a spirit of cooperation to ensure we can get things a little bit more timely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Millette.
Thank you, Chair, and just to further Councillor Thompson's message, it hasn't, the timing hasn't changed. Doesn't look like it's going to change. I'm sure Councillor Thompson and myself can pass it back along and express the concerns in the of this body, but we'd have to see it. It's, sometimes that big ship on the county administration is a bit of a ocean liner to turn around, so who knows? Maybe we can see it steer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Item 8A3, request for proposal.
Moved as written.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Second by Mayor Ellis. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Item 8A4, recommendation report for 45 Bridge Street, East Belleville, utilization of Program 13, Brownfield Environmental Site Assessment Rebate. This is report PP-2024-07, and the resolution is that the application from Al Rose of 45 Bridge Street East, Belleville, be approved for utilization of the City of Belleville Community Improvement Plan Program 13, Brownfield Environmental Site Assessment Rebate, for a total of $40,000 as outlined in the Community Improvement Plan and in accordance with the commitment letter, and that the 2024 operating budget be amended to reflect a Brownfield Environmental Site Assessment Rebate of $40,000 for 45 Bridge Street East in accordance with Program 13 of the Community Improvement Plan and the commitment letter funded by the Brownfield Reserve Fund. I need a mover and a second. Moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Brown. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Item 8A5, Community Improvement Plan Recommendation Report for 188, 190, 196 Dundas Street East and 126 Burnham Street, Belleville, utilization of Program 3, Affordable Rental Housing Tax Increment Equivalent Rebate Extension Request. This is report PP-2024-08. And the resolution is that the council approve a 2-year extension to the existing Community Improvement Plan approval for 188, 190, 196 Dundas Street East and 126 Burnham Street, Belleville, care of Iqbal Hassan on behalf of Iqbal Hassan Razia Sultanta Artistic Holdings, Inc. for utilization of Program 3 Affordable Rental Housing Tier on the condition that the commitment agreement specifies that the city may reduce the level of Program 3 assistance by an amount equivalent to any required development charge reduction or exemption that aligns with the purpose of assistance provided in Program 3, Affordable Rental Housing Tax Increment Equivalent Rebate, and that the city may terminate the agreement 2 years following the effective date if an occupancy permit for all applicable residential dwelling units has not been obtained. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Carr. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Item 8A6, Community Improvement Plan Recommendation Report for 7 Aldersgate Drive, Belleville, utilization of Program 3 Affordable Rental Housing Tax Increment Equivalent Rebate Extension Request. Thank you, sir. Seconder, Councillor Millette. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Item 8A7, 2024 Pop-Ups on the Bay Seasonal License Agreements. This is report DEC-DEV-2024-03. And the resolution is that pursuant to the Tourism Sector Specialist Report number EC-DEV-2024-03, 2024 pop-ups on the Bay seasonal license agreements be approved, and that bylaws to authorize the execution of agreements between the Corporation of the City of Belleville and the individual vendors be prepared for Council's consideration, and that Council delegate authority to the CAO to execute rotating and weekly licenses. Need a mover and a second. Moved by Councilor Enright Miller, seconded by Councilor Kelly. Any discussion on this item? Councilor Carr.
Yes, thank you, through you to the appropriate staff. I asked this question before, and again, these pop-ups have been quite successful, but I do hear from the public from time to time, particularly in the summer months, the June to the middle of September, pop-ups closing at 7 p.m. When we still got a number of daylight hours. The park is actively being used. People who may not necessarily want to go down to a vendor for a meal, but may want to go down for an evening snack or some ice cream and play in the park, etc. And these close up at 7. Has there been any thought or consideration, particularly between mid-June, mid-September, for an extra hour to 8 p.m.?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Carr. And I do see that we have Michelle Lochan, our tourism specialist, here. Would you like to come forward? Thank you. And if you would activate the microphone, and did you hear the question?
I did.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, through the chair, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Michelle Lochan, Tourism Sector Specialist in Economic Development. It's a pleasure to be here. To the councillor, through the chair, we recognize that the volume of activity in the park past 7 p.m. is not always conducive for the vendors to maintain operations. We will pay attention to that activity this year and make the determination if extended hours make sense going forward.
That's great. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Millet.
Thank you, Chair, and this is more of an observation as someone whose spouse runs a seasonal business that deals with very much similar content. Finding employees who are going to work the hours is an incredible challenge these days. So while we may wish and like for some of these businesses to stay open longer, the simple challenge and the simple fact is labor challenges themselves and people willing to work the hours is another matter altogether. But thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? No? Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
All in favor? It's carried. We will move then to item 8A8, Memorandum of Understanding, Regional Recruitment. This is the CAO's Report 2024-03, and the resolution is that pursuant to the Chief Administrative Officer's Report number CAO 2024-03, a bylaw be prepared for Council's consideration to authorize the Mayor and City Clerk to sign the Memorandum of Understanding, Regional Recruitment on behalf of the City. I move in a second, moved by Councillor Chatton, second by Councillor Enright Miller. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. We will move to 8B, consent items. Council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. So we'll go clockwise, starting at 12 o'clock. Councillor Brown?
No, thank you.
Councillor Chatton?
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Millet?
Yes, 8B2, please.
8B2. Thank you. Councillor Kelly?
No, thank you.
Councillor Thompson?
No, thank you.
Councillor Carr?
No, thank you.
Councillor Enright Miller?
No, thank you.
Mayor Ellis?
No, thank you.
All right, so that the consent items, the motion is that the consent items be approved with the exception of item 8B2. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Enright Miller, second by Councillor Millet. All in favor? It's carried. We'll move to item 8B2. This was pulled by Councillor Millet. Recommendation report, proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment, 699 Dundas Street West, City of Belleville, file number B-77-1206, PLOZA 2024-0006. The owner is 793-9191 Canada Inc., and the applicant is RFA Planning Consultant Incorporated. The resolution is that the Planning Advisory Committee recommends the following to City Council.
I recommend you as written, and I will make mention of what it's about when I speak to it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Councillor Millet. We need a seconder. Councillor Chatton. We'll move to Councillor Millet for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. I almost said Your Worship. Thank you,
I'll
Chair.
take it.
All right. The reason I flagged this one, and it's very briefly, there's an awful lot of boilerplate planning ease, if you will, that's involved in this decision. This is 699 Dundas Street East. It's the former home of the Art Frame Gallery and other locations or businesses. It's near the Pentecostal Church along Highway 2. It's the home of EMS Tech, and EMS Tech came before the Planning Advisory Committee some weeks back with this proposal, and I just wanted to highlight that this approval is a really good news story for not only the City of Belleville, but the presentation. I just wish anybody who could have been here when the owner spoke on this. EMS Tech is expanding, and rightly so. They've had top flight engineers. How many? I believe 30 engineers. 30 top flight structural engineers or mechanical engineers. EMS Tech designs and creates plans for similar structures, if you recall Stevens Adamson that did the grain loading and coal loading, those sorts of things for ships. That's one of the things that this organization does. EMS Tech, the owner, and his name escapes me right now, and I apologize for that, spoke at the podium and reminded us why businesses such as EMS Tech choose Belleville. Because they have 30 top flight engineers who could work anywhere in that field in the world, and they chose to come to Belleville to work. These engineers are making a home right now out of offices that are in Atco trailers. They bought an old, I think it was St. Leonard's home or something next door. They've got offices in there, but they're doing this incredible work on projects worldwide. They're doing it right here in Belleville. This is a good news story about this zoning approval that will allow them to expand their facilities and put in the professional facility required. So I just wanted to highlight that one, and it's really is a feather in the cap of this city that we can attract, our businesses can attract, and our community can retain the caliber of professionals who want to call Belleville home. So that's all I wanted to pull that one for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millet. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. So we move to 8C, Council Information Matters. Council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. We'll go around in reverse order this time. Mayor Ellis.
No, thank you.
Councillor Enright Miller.
No, thank you.
Councillor Carr.
8C2A, please.
8C2A. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, he's already pulled 8C2A, 8C2C.
8C2C. Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
I'm gonna pull the next one is 8CB to B.
8C2B. Perf. 8C2, or not to be. Kelly. Thank you. Councillor Millet.
Councillor Carr pulled already. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chatton.
No, thank you, Chair.
And Councillor Brown.
No, thank you, it's already pulled.
Okay, so the resolution is that the agenda items be received with the exceptions of 8C2A, 8C2B, and 8C2C. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Millet. All in favor? It's carried. So we'll move to item 8C2A. This is pulled by Councillor Carr, and it is a request for the support of the following letters and resolutions. Resolution from the Township of Asphodel Norwood urging the provincial government as stewards of care for the Safe Drinking Water Act 2022 to take caution against acting on the recommendation of the Office of the Auditor General of Ontario's Value for Money Audit, Public Health Ontario, specifically the closure of regional Public Health Ontario PHO laboratories, and that the closures will increase health inequities, especially for rural communities. This is pulled by Councillor Carr. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Brown, and we'll move to Councillor Carr for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, obviously it speaks for itself, and I think we should, in addition to support the resolution, just add, and I have an amendment, the City of Belleville requests the Ontario government to maintain free bacteriological water testing for private well owners through nonprofit means, as outlined by Justice O'Connor. You know, originally this started because the Auditor General was doing a value for money audits, and I think those are a good thing. However, trying to find efficiencies isn't simply just shut something down and save money. It's how the organization is organized. And in this case, it had to do with data collection and the ability to use that data for analysis. And so that's really where some of the issues that the Auditor General pointed out. But to boil that down, simply is that for our rural residents and rural residents across the province can walk into your local public health and grab a bottle in order to well test. And it provides the homeowner with an understanding of whether their water is safe to drink or whether they require mitigation through many means. I know most people have filter systems and UV lights and things of those nature, but you want to make sure those systems are working, and the best way to do it is have that water testing. You know, to eliminate this, and as the backgrounder, the support letter from some of the public health Ontario managers points out, is $150 a test. And for some residents, they may be able to afford that. For others, they will say that that's cost prohibitive and simply just not test their water. And that runs into situations where if you don't have the mechanisms to ensure your water is safe to drink, whether it be UV lighting, etc., you can get very sick, as we know through the Walkerton crisis that occurred many years ago. So I think it's prudent that we just let the province of Ontario know that the province doesn't end at urban boundaries, as their tendency seems to be, and that we support continued free testing for private well systems throughout Ontario. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Carr. And so you had proposed an amendment on this item. I believe the seconder for that was Councillor Brown. Is it a friendly amendment? It is, thank you. And would you mind just rereading your amendment, so for the purpose of discussion, we have that?
Yeah, that the City of Belleville requests the Ontario government to maintain free bacteriological water testing for private well owners through nonprofit means as outlined by Justice O'Connor, and the normal distribution to our MPs and what have you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Carr. And I saw Councillor Thompson had some input.
Yeah, along with Councillor Kelly, we sit on the health board, and it was announced at the last meeting that it was going to be discontinued locally, and that sort of falls in line with the amalgamation of the health units. So I've sat on the source water protection for a number of years, and if they discontinue that volunteer, no-cost testing of wells, we're going to run into so many health problems that we'll end up getting somebody sick, and then in the end, long run, somebody's going to get sued because we've discontinued this, and I think we can't not force the people, and the only other way they're going to do it is be able to send in those tests to a central unit to get the test. Right now, they can come into Belleville, get those tests, and get the results in a hurry. So I commend Councillor Carr for pulling this, and I certainly supported 100% for health reasons. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Millette.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm fully in support of this. Earlier today, I traveled back from the annual general meeting of Conservation Ontario, where all manner of changes to various conservation related regulations for the province were on the table. This item was probably the reddest, hottest button at that conference, that meeting that I was at this morning in that ballroom in Toronto. The anger and the frustration was palpable. Just for all the items that Councillor Carr read out, we're coming up to the 25th anniversary of the Walkerton tragedy, which sickened 2,000 people and killed 7. For this government to think that privatizing wells, which Justice O'Connor, which Councillor Carr noted, Justice O'Connor, in his final report on the Walkerton inquiry, found that privatization of testing, quote, connected directly to the E. coli outbreak that sickened and killed these people. We're headed down the same road, people. We're coming up to the 25th anniversary, and this is going to coincide with the closure of the regional laboratory. I would ask anybody around this table or anybody who's listening, if you see one of your provincial members of provincial parliament, either Mr. Smith or Mr. Brisé, ask them this one question. Are you out of your frickin' mind? This is dangerous. We're playing with people's lives here right now. And I can't get over the gall of the government that rather than fix the laboratory that was noted in the Auditor's General report, they're simply going to close it. The PHO's regional lab site also offers analysis for specialized training, such as identification of parasites, ticks. We all know the risk of Lyme disease. All part and parcel of the regional laboratory. This is all gone. Simply in an effort to cut costs rather than do what the Auditor General urged them to do, was fix the laboratory, not shut it down. So I'm wholeheartedly in support of this, and I'm just sickened and appalled that the government would even consider this, especially on the 25th anniversary of the Walkerton tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millette. Councillor Chatton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I'm very much in support of this as well, and I just wanted to point out from an equity lens, For those who are renting in rural communities, in our rural community, it gives renters some protection as well, making it harder for slumlords to get away with not providing potable water. And that's also something that very close to my heart. I used to rent in a rural community, and I had a full-out fight with the landlord to ensure, as a pregnant person, I literally had garbage water on the site that I was renting from, and it was like an 8-month process of getting a UV light in to fix that as a water situation. So having that available to some of our community members that just do not have the $150 to spend to get that testing done, it is an equity issue, and it does affect our region. So thank you. I definitely support it.
Thank you, Councillor Chatton. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. We'll move to item 8C2B. This is pulled by Councillor Kelly, and the resolution from Loyalist Township requesting province to upload from local municipalities the responsibility of and costs associated with the continued construction, operation, and maintenance of major municipally owned highways throughout the province of Ontario, Ministry of Transportation, throughout the province to the Ontario Ministry of Transportation, or alternatively, if uploading is not the preferred option of the province and or municipality, to appropriately increase the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund to municipalities so as to fairly and equitably allocate resources to Ontario municipalities. So it's pulled by Councillor Kelly. Do we have a seconder? Second by Councillor Millette. Councillor Kelly, we'll move to you for discussion.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Yes, this resolution from Loyalist Township, which is Odessa, just east of us. Any of the colleagues here at the table that were at Roma this past January, and I'm sure the discussion will happen this weekend with Good Roads about the continuous downloading of the Ford government in Toronto. Municipalities don't have an appetite for it and can't afford it. Over the last several months, I've had a chance to work closely with Robin Jones. She is the Westport Mayor, also Chair of Roma, with the public health merger, and have had numerous discussions about the continuous downloading that the province is doing. But they certainly changed their way in Toronto. The province has agreed to take responsibility for the Gardiner Expressway, any challenges there with regard to construction, and also the Don Valley Parkway. And at Roma, just a quick story, this is what's happening in our own neck of the woods. I was speaking with the mayor of the Maynooth area, Mayor Fitzgerald. This is a municipality of just over 4,000 people. Back in amalgamation, the government of the day, Premier Harris, suggested that they would give a payout to that particular part north of the city of Belleville. Now from, if you've ever been to Maynooth to Combermere on Highway 62, it's only 90 minutes from here. They're responsible, that municipality is responsible for paying the upkeep, salting, sanding the road. The municipality can't do it. So it's those stories that are coming 25 years later, and we need the province to pick up more of that. Municipalities can't afford it, and I'm hoping that we'll get the support of colleagues here today to send this off to the province and support our friends at Loyalist Township.
Great, thank you, Councillor Kelly. Any further comments on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. We'll move to item 8C2C, resolution from Loyalist Township requesting the province amend Ontario Regulation 301/31 Blue Box so that producers are responsible for the end-of-life management of recycling products from all sources. This was pulled by Councillor Thompson. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Chatton. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thank you very much. As I sit on the recycle for the city as a representative, and this is a major concern right now. We had a meeting this morning. Mr. Reed was there, and other staff was there at this meeting. It's important that the producers manage the recycling product from all sources rather than throwing it back on each municipality to try to manage this. So if we can have the producers manage it, because right now we have an area of 7 different, Mr. Reed, is that 7 different municipalities involved in our 9? Sorry. And that's really a concern if we try to get each one of them. So if the manufacturers or the distributors of the material are looked after, it'll make it so much easier for the municipalities. So I ask for your support to send that in. So these people, this is a major move, and it's a good move to get the manufacturers to look after the blue box. It's a major, and I ask for your support.
Great, thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Millet.
Thank you, and I will support, as chair of the Green Task Force and at several municipal conferences such as Roma and Good Roads and others, I've gone purposely over the years when they have updates on the updates on the circular economy, as they call it, and the producer pay system that's coming into effect. And what it's been is a steady update, each of these, but at every one was a warning. Be careful, because the closer we get to this, the producers pay, they're gonna start calling the piper as to what they will collect, and the manner in which they'll do it, and the prices that they will charge. We're gonna suddenly see that while it's a very laudatory plan and everybody agrees that it makes sense that the people, it's designed to reduce packaging is what it's, at its very essence. But the problem is, these, when it comes to the rubber hitting the road and these producers have to actually pay, they're gonna start saying, whoa, we're not gonna pick up item X. We're not gonna pick up item Y from this type of a business or institution or certain areas. So, we're starting to see that pushback, and this is a time that we have to push back equally hard and insist that this is the original intent of the legislation has to be adhered to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millet. Any further discussions? Councillor Thompson.
Just one note that this is all happening as of July 1st, 2025. So it's important that we stay on top of this and make the manufacturers responsible for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. 8D, rise and report. I need a motion to rise and report. Thank you, Councillor Carr. Thank you, Councillor Enright Miller. All in favor? It's carried.
I feel like a long winter's date. I'm going to have to cancel all the buses here today with the amount of numbers here, so bear with me. But what I think I'll do is first reading of bylaws, bylaw 56 to bylaw 101, or 99, and then bylaw 101 and 102. Motion to move, Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Enright Miller. All in favor? Carried. Second reading of bylaw and discussion, bylaw 2024-34, and then bylaws 56 to 99, and then bylaws 101 to 102. Moved by Councillor Alsop and Councillor Kelly. Discussion, all in favor? Carried. And then third and final reading of bylaws, bylaw 2024-34, and then bylaws 56 to 99, I believe, 99, and then bylaws 101 and 102. Moved by Councillor Alsop, Councillor Enright Miller. All in favor? Pardon me? Yeah. We'll come back tomorrow. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to new business. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mayor Ellis, and colleagues have in front of them a motion that I'd like to introduce, and then I'll speak to it. I'll just read it. Whereas the City of Belleville's population increased by 8.6% between 2016 and 2021 to 55,071, which is faster than the provincial average of 5.8% and the national average of 5.2% during that same period. Whereas the federal government has launched a new $6 billion Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, including $5 billion for agreements with provinces and territories to support long-term priorities that commit to key actions that increase housing supply, which include requiring municipalities to broadly adopt 4 units as of right and allow more missing middle homes. Whereas the federal government has put in a contingency if provinces do not secure an agreement by the January 1st, 2025 deadline, then the funding allocation will be transferred to the municipal stream. Whereas the Ontario Premier has publicly stated that he will let each municipality decide whether to implement 4 units as of right. And whereas the City of Belleville has committed to supporting the creation of 3,100 dwelling units by 2031 as its housing pledge to the province. And whereas the City of Belleville currently permits as of right zoning permission for up to 3 dwelling units per urban residential lot in accordance with Bill 23. And whereas the City of Belleville would like to provide more affordable housing options by reducing unnecessary barriers, therefore be it resolved that staff be directed to undertake new work, including stakeholder and community consultation, to consider appropriate intensification, which would include 4-unit low-rise residential homes on a parcel of urban residential land that complements neighborhood characteristics, and report back to council once the review has been completed.
Moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Brown. Discussion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Ellison. Just very briefly, you know, as we watched each of the municipalities that were successful with their housing accelerator fund, all had 4 units as a right as part of their zoning. And I think we need to be there. Recently, the Prime Minister announced additional funding into that stream, amongst a number of other housing initiatives, part of the federal government housing pledge, and I think there'll be more details tomorrow with the budget. I think it's important that we place ourselves in the right position so that when these application programs open up, that we can apply and have the set criteria. At the same time I know many residents are concerned about a 4-plex and what that may look like. And you know, I think some of us have seen designs where a 4-plex is actually the same height as a 2-story house, whether it's the brand new houses being built in our subdivisions or some of our same heights in the old portions of our city with the old Victorian style homes. And so I think there's some opportunities here where the city can get into some design concepts and things of that nature. So this motion simply says, and ask staff to get to work, which I know they've been kind of quietly working behind the scenes, but make it a priority to present something forward to us, do some stakeholder consultation with home builders or nonprofit groups, as well as the community at large, to not be alarmed by the concept of 4-plexes, and that these won't suddenly take over your neighborhood, so to speak. And I think it's a measured way to get where we need to be. So I request a recorded vote on this as well, please.
Any other discussion? Councillor Millette?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'll support the motion. I for the life of me, can't understand why the Premier would turn down any opportunity to capitalize on federal money simply for aesthetics. Nobody has ever heard of 4-plexes ruining neighborhoods. I've been in the news. I was in the news business for a long time, and I never remembered a headline, 4-plexes coming to a community near you, run. It absolutely, at a time when there's a housing crunch, as was mentioned, we already permit 3-plexes. One more unit in that building, and I, on social media, I grabbed a shot of one and shared it. It from the outset, it looks like a duplex. It contains 4 units. It's badly needed housing that we need, and to simply, again, for aesthetics, I don't understand, and for us to not take advantage of this kind of federal money. Last time I looked, smart municipalities weren't leaving any money on the table if it was offered. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thompson?
Then if we're going to 4-plexes, then somebody give me a reason why we can't amend that to look at 5 or 6-plex. What's wrong with, why 4-plex? Where did we get 4-plex out of this? Somebody can answer
Director
that.
Ashton, I'll throw that question at you, please.
Through you. We're looking at broadly at intensification opportunities. I think the resolution saying including 4-unit low-rise residential homes, that's not the only thing we're going to be looking at. So we will look at other opportunities. Obviously, 6 units has implications when parking and lot depth and lot width are considered, but we will look at what's appropriate for intensification. We'll also look at, I think part of the resolution talks about stakeholder and community consultation. So it would be premature to rule out things at this point in time, but I think the 4-unit is just an example of what could be considered as part of the overall strategy.
Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, so then do I understand that there's a possibility when you're developing these plans that it could possibly include a 6-plex or a 5-plex?
So we're going to look at intensification holistically as part of what the municipality will consider. We'll bring a report back. So 4 units was an example of something that is an option, but we will look at other opportunities as well. So I'm not saying that it is possible or isn't possible, but we'll bring back a report, and those will definitely be a part of the discussion. And review and analysis by city staff and also part of the consultation. But at the end of the day, it is council's decision of what it permits and does not permit.
So this motion then, does it say 4-plex in the motion to go to staff?
So I think the motion, if maybe Councillor Carr wants to provide more clarification, but I think for staff-wise, we're looking at an overall review of intensification. This provides us direction of what is expected in review, but this doesn't exclude other options that we're looking at for intensification opportunities.
Okay. Councillor?
I'd like to hear the motion again before it's presented.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, thanks to Councillor Carr for bringing the motion forward. Quick question for Director Ashton. Are you sensing now over the last year or two that there is a shift in the builders hoping to have this possibility of 4, and as Councillor Thompson's touching on, 4 or more, if you will? Is there a sense that they want to do this?
So in terms of development opportunities, part of it will be for new construction and subdivisions and 4-plexes. So we do have R2 that does allow for that, but we are seeing some current zoning where developers are looking at building a semi-detached with 4 units. So it looks like a semi-detached, but it is 4 units. So those are applications that are currently coming before us. So you can still drive by the street when it gets built and it'll still look like a semi-detached building. But also this overall review that we're doing for intensification would include, for lack of better wording, an existing maybe vacant lot within a neighborhood that's already currently developed and what would be appropriate for intensification, say for a 4-unit there, but not to exclude any other options sort of thing as well. So those will be part of the overall intensification review by staff.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Alsop?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and just a quick statement on this this motion that's been presented by Councillor Carr, and thank you for bringing this forward. I wholly agree with the idea that we need more infill, particularly in the urban area, and that intensification is going to allow us to hit those housing targets that we have of 3,100 units by 2031. So I think this is a great first step towards that, but certainly it's going to require some public consultation to allow people to wrap their heads around this, see some infographics about what this might look like and what this might mean for them. I'm sure we've all received a couple emails today, at least I know I have, where some residents did have some concerns about what these might look like, what the effect might be on the neighborhood. So when we implement a change like this, as addressed in the motion, I think very important to have that consultation piece with the public as we move towards hitting those housing goals that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the vote on that, and Councillor Carr has asked for a recorded vote.
Councillor Alsop?
Yes.
Councillor Brown?
Yes.
Councillor Carr?
Yes.
Councillor Chatton?
Yes.
Councillor Enright Miller?
Yes.
Councillor Kelly?
Yes.
Councillor Millet?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
No.
Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Your Worship. At the press table today, we have a distinguished guest who's no stranger to this room or the people in it, Jack Evans. He's a reporter with the Intelligencer, a longtime reporter with the Intelligencer. I've been out of the business now for almost 10 years, and Jack worked under me when I was city editor, and Jack was a reporter, and he's still plugging away at it. Jack Evans is being inducted into the Ontario Community Newspaper Association Hall of Fame. Jack, and I won't give his age away, but he's well into his 80s, as I said, still plugging away. Jack has worked for, gosh, I can't tell you how many, and for the uninitiated, the Ontario Community Newspaper Association represents weekly newspapers, and mostly anymore, that's all we have left. But Jack, this is he was put forward for this honor by the Picton Gazette. I was proud to write a supporting letter because Jack's, if anybody deserves to be in the Ontario Community Newspaper Association Hall of Fame, that man right there deserves it. So it's a great honor for Jack, and as I said, he's still plugging away for the love of the game because God knows he's not doing it for the money. I can tell you that. So Jack, good on you. Congratulations.
Okay, any other announcements? Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Your Worship. Earlier this afternoon, we launched the official communications as it relates to the new transit routes that are scheduled to begin on May the 6th. First, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the transit operations staff who have worked tirelessly in the background trying to make this happen over the course of about the last 18 months. Similarly, I'd like to thank all of the residents and stakeholders who provided input to this, along with the Transit Advisory Committee, who gave very thoughtful feedback as it relates to it. Just want to mention the social media post covers it well. There is a link to the new transit maps, and there will be more updates coming over the course between now and May the 6th. It includes a revised webpage for transit operations, GIS-enabled maps and route planners that people will be able to actually go online and look at in the nth degree of detail, right from their route down to their stop to what their stop looks like. It's like Google Earth on steroids. It will include printed maps, signage at all of the stops and the shelters. Where there's advertising space on the shelters, the full maps will be available there. But I also want to point out, because some of the feedback we've been hearing over the course of the last couple of weeks is related to the impact it's going to have on our seniors, and particularly those who are using mobility devices. So part of the communications plan over the next 3 weeks will include promos about mobility transit. It'll be promoted particularly to our seniors and those using mobility devices. And we will be actually putting in links so they can get directly to the application, as well as all of the bus drivers will have printed copies so that when they have a senior or someone with a mobility device who boards a regular transit bus, they will be provided with a printed copy of that application so that we can try and get to as many people as we can. We understand and respect that change is difficult. This one seems to be particularly difficult to get through, but I'm pleased to say that we are on the path with the first communication going out today, and that will continue over the course of the next 3 weeks. So I hope everyone here has an opportunity to look at these interactive maps, to look at the route schedules, and to offer your support to the Transit Operations Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Kelly?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I have an announcement tonight. Just wanted to say yesterday, I had the opportunity to spend quite a bit of the afternoon at the Visaki celebrations at 151 Cloverleaf Drive at their place of assembly and worship with the Sikh community. It's one of the most important dates this past weekend in the Sikh calendar. It's a spring harvest festival and New Year's celebration that recognizes 1699. And what a celebration. Music, food, fellowship. And I just wanted to give a quick update on the Bisaki celebration and the folks I spoke to. So that building at 151 Cloverleaf Drive is not 2 years old. Not 2 years old. When it opened, 10 families from India, where that was their assembly to go and pray and get together. 10 families a year and a half ago. Today, 1,000 families. On a daily basis, anywhere from 100 to 500 go to the temple. So we welcome them to our community. What an education yesterday, and thank you for the invite from our Sikh community.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And this Sunday, I have the distinct pleasure of joining Pastor Alan Langlois and the Quinte Alliance Church to celebrate 100 years in the community. I'll be going down there. I think this ceremony will be from about 10 to 11:30. There'll be lunch served afterwards. I'm bringing my wife Jennifer and all of our kids, and it's going to be quite the experience to give them a certificate and recognize their 100 years of service to the community. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, I just wanted to bring up that it deeply saddens to have learned the passing of Alderman Paul Russell this last weekend. And Paul was a lawyer. He served on Belleville City Council from 1968 to 1976. He also had a position on the Belleville Utilities Commission before it was dissolved. We are very grateful for Paul's service in his years to our community. And on behalf of City Council, I extend our sincere condolences to his loved ones during this time. The flag has been lowered until further notice in Paul's honor. Thank you. With that, I need a motion for the confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw number 2024-103, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on April 15, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 15th day of April 2024. Councillor Chatton, Councillor Enright Miller, all in favor, carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Carr, Councillor Thompson, all in favor, carried. Thank you, everybody.